Good afternoon, second graders. It is time to read chapter 5 of Lily and Miss Liberty. Without further ado, let's get started. My book copy of Lily and Miss Liberty actually did arrive early yesterday. However, I like that you are able to see the words on my screen instead of just listening to me read it, especially those of you who maybe need, to see the words to help you with the reading comprehension questions. So I'm going to continue to do this to the end of the book. All right, chapter 5, The Fund Grows Bigger. Lily could hardly contain her excitement as she headed for school Monday morning. Pinned on her dress was the little purse Mama had given her to carry all the money, $1.37. When she arrived at school, she spotted Rachel waiting for her on the sidewalk, wearing her crown. "Hi, Rachel," she said when she caught up with her. "What's that thing you've got on your head?" someone yelled. "None of your business," Rachel yelled back. Lily looked at her friend admiringly. She wished she had the nerve to talk back to those older boys. Let me move this out of the way. There we go. Rachel pointed to a girl who was standing by herself near the front gate of the school. "What's the matter with her?" Lena Kozlov was crying. "Did one of those big boys hit her?" Rachel grabbed Lily's hand and pulled her towards Lena. "Let's find out." I'm guessing this is Lena. I'm pretty sure. When Lily and Rachel reached Lena, she turned her back. She tried to wipe the tears from her face. "She wears the same dress to school every day," Lily thought. "Tell us what's wrong," Rachel said. But Lena just shook her head. "If you don't tell us, we'll tell Miss Pearson you were crying," Rachel said. Lily looked at her friend. "Rachel, that's not nice." "Well, are you going to tell us or not?" Rachel persisted. "I have no money for the pedestal fund," Lena said quietly. "How come?" Rachel asked, in a softer tone. Lena didn't reply. Suddenly, Lily remembered a day last month when she went with Mama to pick up her grandmother at the shop. She saw Lena bending over one of the many sewing machines in that big room. Grandma told her that Lena worked there to help support her family. Lily looked at Lena's tear-streaked face. She reached up and touched the little purse. There was so much money inside. She unpinned the pin and opened the purse. "Here, Lena," she said. "Here's 40 cents for you." Lena looked at the 40 cents in Lily's outstretched hand. "Take it," Lily urged. "I have a lot more." She pulled out the 2 pennies that Mrs. Rosen had given her. "Here's 2 cents more." Lena took the money. "Thank you, Lily," she said. "What did you do that for?" Rachel asked as they headed toward the main gate of the school. Lily was silent. She was thinking about how she had felt last Friday when she had no money to give to the pedestal fund. The first bell rang, and the children began forming lines in front of their teachers. The 2 girls stood in line before Miss Pearson. When everyone had gathered, the children filed silently into the school and to their classroom. Lily slipped quietly into her seat. There was a low buzz in the room until Miss Pearson signaled for silence. "I think it best that we collect the money for the pedestal fund at the beginning of the school day, so there won't be any chance of losing it at recess." Miss Pearson stood before the blackboard with chalk. "Good idea, Miss Pearson." She must have been a teacher for quite a while to realize this. "Please raise your hand if you have something to contribute." "Sam?" 30 cents, Miss Pearson." Miss Pearson wrote 30 on the blackboard. She turned and looked at the children. "Rachel?" Rachel raced up the aisle. 3 dimes and a nickel," she yelled. Miss Pearson wrote 35 under the 30. She turned around again. "Lena?" Lena walked up to the front of the class. 42 cents, she said quietly. When Miss Pearson called on Lily, Lily's heart gave a flutter. She unpinned the little purse from her dress, opened it, and let the money fall into her hand. She walked up the aisle and handed it to Miss Pearson. 95 cents, she said. Oh my! How did you earn so much money, Lily? Rachel pulled the crown from inside her desk and put it on. She made these, she said, pointing to her head. Miss Pearson smiled. Why, it looks just like Miss Liberty's crown. Was this your idea, Lily? Yes, but my grandmother and mother helped me make them. Well, perhaps we can include a crown when we send our contributions for the pedestal fund to Mr. Pulitzer's newspaper. Rachel handed her crown to Miss Pearson. Take this one, she said. Lily can make another. First, the children added all the numbers on the blackboard. Then they added all the money they had earned last week. This reminds me a lot of our project that we did together when we raised money for endangered animals. Everyone clapped when they reached the total, $7.47. Now we will write Mr. Pulitzer a letter, Miss Pearson said, and maybe he will print it in his newspaper. Let's tell him that since the children of France helped to pay for the statue, we wanted to help to pay for the pedestal, suggested Rachel. Miss Pearson told the children that she would deliver the letter and the money and the crown to the newspaper herself. Sounds familiar. That evening, when everyone was sitting at the kitchen table having supper, Lily asked, Grandma, do you remember that girl I know who works in your shop? Grandma paused for a moment. My allergies are getting to me. Yes, she said, Lena works in the shop every afternoon. She threads the needles for the sewing machines. She's in my class at school, Lily said. Miss Lafferty shook her head. I thought she was older than you, Lily. I've heard that her family is very, very poor. She works to help feed her brothers and sisters. She didn't bring in any money for the pedestal fund. I gave her 42 cents so she could give to the pedestal fund like everyone else. Mama smiled. Oh, Lily, that was a nice thing to do. When you said that freedom won't put food in poor people's mouths, did you mean someone like Lena? Yes, Lily. Well, maybe Lena is poor, but she loves Miss Liberty just as much as I do. I wish you loved her too, Mama. If your mama doesn't care for the Statue of Liberty and you do, Lily, that's all right, Grandma said. Papa smiled at Mama. Goodness, sorry guys. In this country, freedom means that you are free to have different opinions. Isn't that right, Mama? Mama leaned over and patted Lily's hand. Papa is right, Lily. And who knows, perhaps someday I will change my mind about Miss Liberty when I see her for myself. That was chapter 5 of Lily and Miss Liberty tomorrow. Oh boy, the French ship arrives. We will be finishing Lily and Miss Liberty tomorrow, Thursday, reading chapters 6 and 7 Friday. You'll answer some questions about the entire book. I told you this book was a lot shorter than The Mighty Miss Malone. We're almost done already. So, if you have a chance today, I know that I put out way more than enough material each week. The Musical Wednesday Challenge today is kind of special because Memorial Day is coming up. It also kind of aligns with Lily and Miss Liberty in that it's talking about, government nationalism. What I'm challenging you guys to do today is kind of learn the history behind our national anthem, what we sing at school every morning to start our school day, what the words mean, and why the country chose that song to be what represents the United States of America, why it's so important to our history. So it's a really interesting story. I think that you will enjoy learning about that. And then my next challenge is for you to record yourself singing the national anthem and, sending it to me or sending it on GroupMe. I have sent you a link to me doing that, playing the piano and singing. And it's also on YouTube as well. So check that out if you'd like. Additionally, I'm getting ready to record now the reading lesson for today, and it's all about nutrition. We have so many, important standards for second grade that we have needed to hit since being at home. And I just want to try to fit in everything I can where I can, and whoever is able to listen to things like the nutrition lessons, the national anthem lessons, fantastic. If you just stick to, the reading, the math, that's perfectly fine too. But I am trying to fit everything in there for you. There's a reason I'm doing it, not to overwhelm you. So yeah, just do what you can, and know that there's a reason for everything I put out there for you, all right? Have a great afternoon. See you in a bit for our nutrition lesson.